Happy Disability Pride Month, thank you for reminding me. I just watched something with one of the coolest disabled bit characters ever played by Ward Bond. This is The Fugitive by John Ford, and it's maybe the most beautifully shot movie ever, which you could also say about 5 other John Ford movies. It's the first movie I've seen that was shot by cinematographer Gabriel Figueroa, and I'm super pumped to see him because Wikipedia says he's known for framing and chiaroscuro, and if you follow my channel, you know I'm a total slut for chiaroscuro. I put out hard for shadows. I'm gonna do a whole nother video on just the shadows in this movie, because they're stunning. This has been called maybe John Ford's most spiritual work, and I think it is. Modern Christians would go nuts for it, but thankfully the bad ones are generally too incurious to appreciate good art, so the rest of us can enjoy it. It's a story set in the Cristero War when the Mexican government, with the help of the US government, tried to ban Catholicism. They destroyed the churches, paid the priests to get married and renounce Catholicism, and arrest those that didn't. In the midst of this, Henry Fonda is simply known as a fugitive. He's a priest that's on the run, being sheltered by the locals. Most of them still want to be Christians and they want baptisms and to be able to confess and so on. Dolores Del Rio is simply an Indian woman. She has a child that was born out of wedlock to the local oppressive police lieutenant, played by Pedro Armendariz. And despite this movie being very progressive for its time in terms of production, because it was shot on location in Mexico using a Mexican crew, and basically all the rest of the Mexican characters are actually played by Hispanics. One of the main roles is still unfortunately played by J. Carroll Naish, who was known as, quote, Hollywood's one-man United Nations, because he specialized in playing every ethnicity except Irish, despite him being Irish. Going in its favor, though, politically, is that this movie is shockingly pro-indigenous for Hollywood of the time. The conflict in this movie is portrayed as an oppressive police military force who look very white Mexican, that is to say European, specifically attacking people that look more like indigenous Mexicans, and they're indeed called Indians in the movie. The police lieutenant himself is presented as an Indian, in the movie's terminology, or indigenous Mexican, who joined the military and is now leading the oppression and persecution of his own people. This is a common theme in many of John Ford's movies, like in this movie, in The Grapes of Wrath, in Fort Apache, which I did a video on recently, in The Quiet Man, and others. The common theme is, there's a nice peaceful people living in a nice peaceful village, and outside forces show up to ruin the lyrical little joyful spirit of the people living there. In Fort Apache, it's basically a glory-seeking rich asshole who wants to be a war hero. In The Grapes of Wrath, it's global capitalism, bankers, and police who are trying to prevent poor farmers from being able to live with dignity. In The Quiet Man, it's actually set in Ireland, and it's John Wayne's internalized Americanness that's preventing him from being able to understand that not everything is about money. Sorry to hype again, but I have a video on that too. It's great. And in a testament to how brilliant of an artist he was, he even made a movie about how this fear of identity loss and outside forces got warped and contributed to American racism and Manifest Destiny in The Searchers, a movie in which John Wayne is so racist that he's trying to kill his niece rather than let her grow up with Native Americans. And so in this movie, it's nice, peaceful, religious, modest, indigenous Mexican Christians being persecuted and terrorized by the government. And so the heat builds, and amidst all this, we only see a brief glimpse of Ward Bond a couple of times. He's a disabled American bandit with a reward on his head known only as El Gringo. And as Henry Fonda is trying to escape, the reason he's able to escape is because this disabled bandit sees him running away and is like, well, you know what? Fuck the police. And just starts popping the guys chasing Henry Fonda. And like, I'm reminded of something friend of the channel, Katie Asaurus, pointed out about portrayals of disabled people and sex in the movie Crash. In that movie, she loved it because you get to see a complexly disabled person be hot, like attractive and desired by the other characters, which you don't get to see in a lot of movies. So in this movie, I feel the same way, but in terms of disabled people being kind of violent heroes. Like, in contrast to so many movies that do portray disabled people as heroes, he's never pitied or looked down on for it. It's all incidental. And it's not like his disability gives him a superpower that makes him abled or super abled again. Instead, he's just a disabled guy being a hero. He can sit in a field and smoke a bunch of fascists trying to get by him. And like, what's better than that? What a king.